What is up, fam? Thank you so much for joining in to So Real Sports Talk. Got a little fumbled on my words to start off, and it's because I'm excited. The 49ers just made another signing. Oh my God, it looks like the 49ers just want to make deals at the end of the night. I love it. I love it. Gives us something to do. Gives us something to be excited about. While everybody else has made their moves earlier in the day, 49ers just sneaking in there and making sneaky good deals with players of a need. And the 49ers just signed special teams return specialist Ray Ray McCloud right up from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with this move. Clearly, Ray Ray McCloud is somebody who is one of the top punt returners, kick returners in the league. And obviously, that's a position of need for the 49ers. I think Ray Ray McCloud, according to PFF, finished top 8 in all of the punt return and kick return stats as far as yards. So already going to be an upgrade over anybody that we've been playing at that position. Obviously, last year, the 49ers have had some struggles when it came to punt returning. They tried to put Brandon Ayuk back there. We've seen Debo back there, River Craycraft. We've seen, it's been kind of like just a bunch of, just by committee has been our special teams return game. Trent Cannon came in, at the tail end of the season last year. But this is a bona fide guy. This is somebody who averages, I think, around 23 yards per kick return, around 10 yards per punt return. So we're talking about a guy that's going to move the ball down the field and help with the position game, or at least field position game for the 49ers. It's exciting. And once again, this goes back to my trend that I'm seeing with the 49ers. They're being extremely smart about the people that they're bringing in. They understand what they're good at. They understand what they're not good at. And, we've seen special teams wise, they realize that that's a big weakness. And already we've seen them go out and get 2 guys in free agency that are specifically there to boost up the special teams for the 49ers. They went out a couple days ago, got Oren Burks, somebody who's a speedy, big guy in special teams that is a specialist there and is known to make plays. And then they go out tonight, get Ray Ray McCloud for the same exact reason, to help bolster that return game, both in kick return and punt return. I'm excited about it. And like I was saying, the 49ers are starting to understand what they're good at and what they're not good at, right? And so, positions like corner, where they haven't spent many assets there as far as top assets. I think they haven't used, top two round pick since Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward in the secondary. Everybody that they have been bringing in free agency in the secondary up until this year had been tail end of their prime. They go out and they get Charvarius Ward, a guy that's ascending into his prime, 25 years old, fits the mold of what the 49ers need out of their corners. And then today they go out knowing that they, have struggled in the return game, something that's been an Achilles heel for the 49ers under Shanahan. It seemed like Shanahan really just focused on the fair catch versus actually being aggressive in the return game to change field position and whatnot. But it looks like that's changing too with Ray Ray McCloud coming in. That's not somebody that's just going to sit back there, fair catch the ball. He's going to be somebody who catches the ball and can make some moves and hopefully make this special teams a threat for the 49ers because, obviously the special teams, when we saw them in the playoffs be game changers for the 49ers. So if they can be good, we know that's just icing on the cake for the team. So I really like this pick. You guys feel free to sound off in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Where do you think the team needs to go next? But overall, I'm a big fan of what the 49ers have been doing. Clearly we're all on pins and needles if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get traded. Is he not going to get traded? It's looking like, we have to wait a couple more days before we find out what Deshaun Watson is going to decide. It looks like he's deciding between the Saints and the Falcons. Is that going to play a role in whether or not Jimmy gets traded? I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm a big proponent for trading Jimmy, but it kind of looks like the team is okay with keeping him, maybe even into free agency. Look, they still have deals that they could restructure or extend. Jimmy Ward still is a candidate for that to get some money. Samson Ebicom is another player that they could extend and save some money. A player that I'm really looking for them to actually make a move on or actually extend would be Emmanuel Mosley, because it looks like, the way he's been playing in a couple years, he might be, looking for a lot more money. So if they could extend him for 2-3 more years at maybe, $8-9 million a year, that would be a steal moving forward because of how well he's playing in. And then you got Ward, Mosley, Ambry Thomas for the next 3-4 years as your young core of corners that could really hold the fort down there. D Nice, 415, bring it in. Solid pickup. We need a guy to open up the passing game and be a deep threat. D Nice, it'd be interesting to see how much he actually plays in the offense as far as a deep threat. That would be the bonus. I think they really brought him in strictly for, special teams to help out as a punt return, kick return specialist. And, give Trey Lance that extra 10 yards, 10, 15, 20 yards to help the offense move down the field. But if he is that burner, love to see it too. Anything we could get out of that, it would just be a bonus. But I expect him really to play a big role on special teams. The dream, my brother, younger brother from another mother. Yo, we need to work together soon, Amin. Hope you're doing well, my guy. Tell me what you think about the pickup so far. Watson is going to the Falcons. D Nice, I think you might be right? We saw Kyle Pitts throw out that tweet saying it's about to get crazy in Atlanta. Most people thought maybe that was him kind of pointing in the direction that Deshaun Watson is going there. That would be interesting. I do feel like going to Atlanta, then what do you do with Matty Ice? Is he going to go to the Colts? Is he going to be, a quarterback that certain teams go after? Does that mean that Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a trade market if Matty Ice is there? I don't know. I think that, Matt Ryan obviously, has, I would say, a stronger arm than Jimmy. You would have to say, even especially after Jimmy coming off a injury, but he does have a much higher contract than Jimmy does. And, Jimmy's had more success as far as playoff runs as of late. So would be interested to see how other teams grade those two quarterbacks. But, yeah, man, once again, I'm extremely excited about what the 49ers are doing. I think that a lot of people are over exaggerating or just aren't realizing what the 49ers actually have. Obviously, we saw some big news with Devontae Adams going to the Raiders. I think the Raiders are having a phenomenal offseason, getting Chandler Jones, bringing in Devontae Adams. Obviously, the Chargers bringing in Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. But the 49ers don't have this glaring position of need. And because of that, they're putting themselves in a good situation where they're only going to pay premium talent that big dollar amount, right? Nick Bosa is going to get that contract. Debo is going to get that contract. Arik already got that contract. Kittle already got that contract. Warner already got that contract. They're not going to just go out here and spend money on a name. They're spending money on the guys that they know they have on their team that are already producing. We saw them go out there and spend on Ward, a young guy who's performed at a very top level for a long time, or for most of his career, if not all of his career. So they're being smarter with who they're giving the money to. And I think that bodes well as far as if we are a fan of the team. Look, we got a competent staff that's doing what they need to do to make sure not only is this team good immediately for the next upcoming year, but aren't going to put themselves in a bad situation moving forward where they have all of these dead, money contracts that they've kind of struggled with in previous years, right? We're still dealing with the D Ford contract. We've seen them make some mistakes as far as paying some guys that didn't pan out in the past. So I think that the team has turned a corner when it comes to how they're evaluating personnel and what they're doing. The more and more I look at losing guys like Lakin and DJ Jones, I mean, definitely the defensive line guys. If your name isn't Nick Bosa, if your name isn't Arik Armstead, if you're not one of those blue chip top tier type performers, you're not going to get big money on the defensive line from the 49ers, right? Chris Kosarick has shown that he could bring in anybody, with any type of talent or at least a certain level of talent and go out there and make them a productive player, 5 to 8 sacks for the season. And they're going to go out there and get big money, the year after they play for the 49ers. So 49ers know they're already a destination spot for guys that are looking for big money. Come in, play for the 49ers for a year, go out and get your big money contract in. And that's something that the 49ers are utilizing and not overpaying for a player to be able to utilize that. But positions that they haven't been able to develop, much like the special teams, right? To go out there and get an Oren Burks, to go out there now and get a Ray Ray McCloud, I think just is very smart. Very, very smart decision-making by these 49ers brass. I'm really happy with what they're doing. I know a lot of people are kind of like unhappy that they're not landing these big names, but we got those guys, man. How many teams have Nick Bosa, Armstead, Debo, Kittle, guys that are elite at all these positions, not to mention Jimmy Ward, Fred Warner, Juszczyk, and we got ascending talent like Ayuk, Mitchell. There's so many names like I'm forgetting. Azeez Al-Shaair is a stud. Dre Greenlaw is a stud, right? So we got all of these guys that are just performing and stud players that we don't need to go out there and just reach and spend money on guys because we have that homegrown talent. And, it's just fun to see. It's fun to see how this team is building. Haven't even needed to talk about Trey Lance yet. That's how stacked this team is, baby. Amin, love the pickup. The last time we had a good return specialist was Ted Ginn. So happy with the move. That's true. We haven't had a specialist like that since Ted Ginn. AFC is stacked, man. Yeah. AFC is stacked, right? Especially AFC West, man. That division is going to be fun to watch for sure. Going to be tuning into all of those games. Let's talk about where we want to see the team go from here. I like this trend, though. I feel like they're identifying needs, identifying where they haven't been able to really land gold in the draft. One thing that I'm, preaching to the choir as much as possible is I don't have a lot of faith in the 49ers evaluating and drafting offensive linemen. I think that not only have they maybe reached for some players, but also they don't identify the right player to pick at the number that they have. So, for example, they picked Javon Kinlaw, who's yet to be determined whether or not his career is going to pan out the way that his draft position warrants. But a few picks after that was Tristan Wirfs. Obviously, Tampa Bay got him, and he's been a Pro Bowl caliber offensive lineman that the 49ers could have had. Last year, they picked Aaron Banks in the second round. A couple picks after that, guy by the name of Creed Humphreys was drafted by Kansas City. We obviously know Creed Humphreys went on to have an amazing rookie season. Aaron Banks didn't really have a rookie season, right? So as of now, that's looking like the wrong pick. So when it comes to the draft, I really would hope that they would just focus on best player available at the positions that I know that at the positions that they should know. They're just able to draft and develop very good, defensive line, linebacker, corner, safeties, running back, right? Tight end. Offensive line is where I would like them to maybe swing in free agency a little bit more, right? There's some good guards that are out there. Some good offensive linemen that have been casualties. Some guys that are maybe older that might be just looking to compete on a team versus actually look for a big money deal. It looks like you can, get some, good guards between, the $2 and $5 million range. So I would hope that the 49ers could do that. Reason being, if you look at the best offensive linemen on the 49ers, they tend to be guys that the 49ers either brought in through trades or through free agency, right? Last year, if you were to mention who are the top 3 offensive linemen, I'm sure you guys would say, obviously, Trent Williams being number 1 by far, Laken Tomlinson and Alex Mack in some kind of order like that. Well, none of those guys were drafted and developed by the 49ers. They were actually trades or in free agency with Alex Mack. Even if you go further into the starters in the offensive line, Daniel Brunskill was the right guard. He wasn't drafted by the 49ers. The only starter that was there for the 49ers was Michael McGlinchey. And then when he went down, Tom Compton, who was actually drafted by the 49ers as well. So the 49ers just tend to be better when they're getting these guys either through trades or through free agency. So moving forward, I would like them to see them spend whatever money is left on guys like that on the offensive line to really solidify that offensive line to make sure that there's not only good talent there as starters, but also some depth there as well. So that Trey Lance isn't just, running for his life, back there. And he has the best chance to have, a very successful year. So overall, like I said, love this move. Ray Ray McCloud, I think, is going to come in and instantly make our kick return game, both from punts and, kick returns, much, much better. It's going to be a guy that I would believe Kyle Shanahan is going to trust to give him some leeway as far as actually taking the ball and making some moves. Like I said, he averaged last season around, 23, 24 yards for kick returns and, about 10 yards for punt returns. Both of those, I would assume, I don't know the numbers offhand, but both of those numbers I would bet are much higher than what the 49ers averaged last year in their special teams. So I like it. They're plugging holes. They're doing what needs to do and sneak. And like I said, under the radar, this team is getting better without having to break the bank, without having to put themselves in too much, future mess when it comes to contracts. And we're looking like a team that's building the right way and looking like a team that's going to be good in the NFC for a long time. Like a lot of talent is going the opposite direction. SG Sports Talk channel. I love your channel. Oh my God, man. Thank you so much for the compliments, SG. Thank you so much for joining in. This channel really doesn't do what it needs to do without you guys in the comment section. Really appreciate you guys. Harold Murillo, long time no talk, bro. Where you been, my dude? Hello to you, my friend, as well. Guys, while there's here, we got about 33 guys right now. Thank you for joining in last minute. Didn't even promote it, just threw it up there. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think. What do you guys think of Ray Ray McCloud? Caleb Morris, thank you for joining in. Is he good? He absolutely is one of the top specialists when it comes to kick return, punt return. Like I mentioned, he was top 8 in every single category when it comes to the return game. So that's total yards, average on both kick returns and punt returns. He's a guy that PFF actually put in their he was second team. He was second team all pro by PFF when it comes to punt return and kick return specialist. So this is a guy that instantly upgrades our special teams and especially our kick return game much better than what we had in Trenton Cannon and clearly, the other guys that they throw in, River Craycraft, stuff like that. Let's see. SG, thoughts on Oren Burks? I actually have a lot of thoughts on Oren Burks. So Oren Burks, obviously, 4-year player, came from Green Bay. He actually was drafted 18 spots behind Fred Warner. And there's a lot of similarities between him and Fred Warner. Now, let me make this clear. I don't think that he's going to become Fred Warner by any stretch of the imagination. But hear me out before you bite my head off. Oren Burks was drafted 18 spots behind Fred Warner. So he's a third-round talent. This isn't a guy that was an undrafted free agent. This isn't a guy that was like a 5th, 6th round pick. This guy was drafted by Green Bay, who was known to pick linebackers very, very well. They've had a lot of great linebackers in their history. They drafted him in the 3rd round. This guy played safety in college. Guess who else played safety in college? Our middle linebacker, Fred Warner. And then they both transitioned to linebacker when it came to the NFL. Oren Burks ran a 4.59 40. So he's a top tier athleticism, just like Fred Warner. Now, he's primarily going to be playing special teams for the 49ers. He is very good on special teams as far as covering kicks and things of that nature. So he's instantly going to be a productive player in special teams. But where I think we might have gotten a steal is, look, the 49ers coaching staff, especially on the defense when it comes to the linebackers, has done just a phenomenal job, right? Dre Greenlaw was a 5th round pick. He's somebody who's a bona fide starter on most teams, if not all teams, all 32 teams in the NFL. Azeez Al-Shaair, undrafted free agent. He got a 2nd round tender from the 49ers. That's how well he's performed. So the 49ers, once again, with the trend of knowing what they're good at, are extremely good at developing these linebackers, especially when they have that athleticism that Oren Burks actually holds. So this year, I don't think we're going to see, him play meaningful roles as a linebacker. But in a couple years, you might see him develop, especially under a guy like DeMeco Ryans and the rest of this coaching staff, defensive coaching staff. In a couple years, maybe he's making one of these linebackers expendable. I do believe maybe Dre Greenlaw is going to be dangled for a trade to get some assets. So I think it's actually a really, really good pick. Oren Burks is going to be somebody to keep our eye with. Caleb Morris, what about as a wide receiver? He's somebody, he played for Pittsburgh, Caleb. So Pittsburgh was obviously stacked with talent over there for wide receivers. So he didn't get much run as a wide receiver. He's a deep threat for sure. Definitely serviceable. I don't know how much time he's actually going to get on the field as a wide receiver with the 49ers because we're stacked there with Debo and obviously Ayuk and Jennings. And, there's a lot of talk of maybe the 49ers bringing in another vet. So I don't know how much run he's going to get as a wide receiver, but he is very fast. And, definitely like James Coombs saying, great upgrade for the special teams. Probably going to be primarily that, but that's not saying as a negative. That's something we definitely need. We haven't had a specialist, like Amin said, since Ted Ginn Jr. So that the 49ers brought him in is a very, very good sign. A lot of people are throwing around this all in. I think the 49ers are actually being all in, even though they're not maybe getting like these big names. They're definitely plugging in a lot of positions that are just positions of need at this point. Let's see. Harold Murillo, shocker Packers shipping out Davante Adams to the Raiders. Yeah, that was big news, right? And bigger news was that it seems like Aaron Rodgers already knew about that. Even when he signed, he knew that Davante Adams wasn't going to be there. So, a lot of guys are saying, oh, he picked Carr over, Rodgers. I know a lot of people like, taking shots at Aaron Rodgers. I'm actually an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'm from Bakersfield, Central California, baby. And, Fresno State runs deep in our blood because, Central Cali love. And those Central Cali ties are deep, man. So people don't realize Adams and Derek Carr Derek Carr. That's a tight-knit group over there. So I don't think that's a shot necessarily at Aaron Rodgers. I think it's more of a shot at the Green Bay organization. And just he wanted to play with his one of his close friends. Caleb asks, what about Charvarius Ward? Man, Caleb, I think this is an amazing pickup by the 49ers. Charvarius Ward might not be like the lockdown guy that maybe a Gilly Lock is, or doesn't get a lot of turnovers like JC Jackson. But for what the 49ers need and what the 49ers look for in their cornerbacks, he's perfect. So right off the bat, he's young. He's 25 years old right now. He's going to be 26 when the leagues or when the year starts, or during the season. So we have to understand as 49er fans, just in general, that when it comes to the defensive line gets priority. Then it's going to be linebackers. Then it's going to be safeties. The cornerbacks are usually just whatever's left, right? And we've seen that, right? They've gone in previous years after guys like Richard Sherman at the tail end of his prime, Josh Norman last year. So they usually go after older, guys to bring in. So the first step that they brought in Charvarius Ward, a young guy, and gave him the type of contract that it looks like maybe 12 to 14 million a year, shows that they're actually upgrading versus just staying at the status quo, right? So the things that I really like about Charvarius Ward, one thing, he's a press man corner, meaning that he can play man-to-man extremely well. And that mixed with Ambry Thomas and Mosley, who I also think are very good press corners, it looks like that's shifting to where D'Amico Ryans how he wants to play his corners. So I like that he already is built like that. The second thing is, if you're going to play cornerback for the 49ers, you better know how to tackle. And Charvarius Ward is one of the best tackling corners in the game. I think out of all the free agents, PFF rated him as the top tackling corner, meaning he only missed 5% of his tackles, which was much higher than the other 70 corners, I think, that were in free agency that PFF rated. So the fact that he could tackle extremely bodes well for the 49ers. The next thing is, think about what happened last year with the 49er corners, especially on third down. Third down was a hard down for the 49er defense to get off the field. And it wasn't necessarily because they weren't making the stops. It was because of penalties, right? A lot of pass interference calls, a lot of, holding by the secondary, to the point where D'Amico Ryans had to just run a practice of teaching these corners how to get their eyes around, turn their head around before they make contact with the player, because that's how bad these penalties were affecting the 49ers. Charvarius Ward started, I think, 16 games last season, if not, all of the games as a starter. 4 total penalties, 2 pass interference, 2 holding plays. So he doesn't make a lot of mental errors when it comes to that. That is something that I really, really like. And then lastly, I just think it does amazing things for the flexibility of this cornerback room. I most likely imagine Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley being the 2 starters on the outside, which I think would be one of the best cornerback tandems that we've had, probably under the Shanahan regime. But when it comes to nickel downs, now you could bring Ambry in to go on the outside, and you can move Mosley into that slot corner, nickel corner position, because he's played that, earlier in. So now you got 3 guys that could all play aggressively, tackle well, young guys that you can have on the field at all times. So that's one thing that I think is really exciting. The other thing is, now maybe you could take a flyer on a guy like Jason Verrett. A lot of people were afraid to sign Jason Verrett because, you need that guy to play. But now when you have 3 bona fide, outside young cornerbacks, now Jason Verrett is a luxury. So if you bring him back and he's not healthy immediately, you don't have to force him out there to play, right? He might not even be, the third guy off the bench, right? Lenore might come off the bench before him. But if you could bring back a guy like Jason Verrett, somehow get him healthy by the tail end of the season into that playoff run, man, if Jason Verrett could be out there as a lockdown corner like we saw tail end of 2020 or the 2020, 2021 season, that could be dangerous. That could be dangerous. So big fan of that. Big fan of that move. I know the comments are coming in, trying to get to some of them. Let's see. Harold Murillo, 49ers are getting stronger in key positions. I absolutely agree, man. I absolutely agree. Like, they're not making big splashes, but they're getting better at positions of need. And remember, we have the superstars already on our team. Now we're just filling in positions of need and depth. That's all we really needed. Rockstar, Fresno State, 559, baby. That Central Cali love, baby boy. Gilberto Rodriguez, can you predict a big signing or trade coming up for the 49ers? Gilberto, great question, my man. Thank you for joining into the show. Predict. I don't really think there is going to be one. My prediction would be none, because the reality is I think the 49ers have made it pretty clear with how they're slow playing this Jimmy trade that they're not looking to spend much in this free agency, and they don't really need to, right? They're about to give Debo probably a big contract. I mean, that contract's probably going to be massive with what Devontae Adams just got. Bosa is about to get a big contract in the next 1 or 2 years. So, I mean, their big money spending is going to go to these players that are already on the roster. So I don't think they're going to make a big trade. Obviously, the trade that we're looking to be made is Jimmy, but I'm starting to lean closer to I think the 49ers have a certain package that they're looking for. If they don't get it, we might see Jimmy be brought back even on the team playing into the season, and maybe they're waiting for one of the quarterbacks, another starter in the league, to go down and get injured and maybe trade him mid-season. So it's looking more and more like that. So I would say if there is a player that is going to get traded that might bring back some assets, Gilberto, is going to be Dre Greenlaw. So I would predict that Dre Greenlaw either gets traded for a third round, maybe even a second round pick, and second round pick is kind of steep. Maybe a third round, fourth round pick, or a player. That might be, more what's realistic. But great question. Harold Murillo, hit those likes and subscribe to this awesome channel. Thank you so much, my man. Appreciate it. James Coombs, we always thinking alike, my guy. You and me, same brainwave. So I feel like you right there with me as far as with Dre Greenlaw. Let me see. A lot of thoughts on Mostert. Let's talk about it. SG Sports Talk. Mostert, obviously fan favorite, man. When he's on the field, he is electric. But unfortunately, I had to start that sentence with when he is on the field, right? So do you give a player close to $4 million who can be on the bench the whole season? I mean, I don't think the 49ers could really afford that, right? Upside is great, but Mitchell obviously is RB1. I think he's going to come on and be a lot stronger. Trey Sermon is finally going to get some run, right? I think Trey Sermon isn't a great fit for Jimmy as a quarterback, but I think he's going to do extremely well with Trey as a quarterback. So I think Trey Sermon is going to get a lot of run. I do expect the 49ers to bring in another vet to be in that running back room. They obviously tendered Hasty. So right now on the books, we have Mitchell, Sermon, Hasty. Look for maybe Jeff Wilson Jr. to be brought back, or another name. Rohan Chakravarti actually brought this up on my show yesterday, and I think it's a name to watch out for. Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman played pretty well for the 49ers. He went out and, I think he signed with the Falcons after that and played pretty decent. He would be somebody that would be a great asset to the 49ers. Bring in that veteran presence, somebody who could be a productive player off the bench if any of those other guys, goes down with the injury. And they'll probably pick some guys in the draft. I know Bobby Turner is taking some time off, and he's kind of the GOAT when it comes to finding, good running backs with lower draft picks or in free agency, or undrafted free agents. But the 49ers seem to do well as far as getting running backs in the draft in lower rounds. I imagine, it's pretty deep draft for running backs. I expect them to probably pick up a running back to fill out that room as well. Harold Murillo, offensive line depth, absolutely. I think they should do that in free agency. I don't want them to risk just drafting guys. They need to go get some of these veterans that are being cap casualties from some of these other teams. Sign a couple of them to be starters in depth as well. Rockstar, do you think of Mitchell? What do you think of Mitchell? He was kind of getting injured a lot. So Mitchell had that one injury that held him out for like 6 games. But 49ers worked him, right? He was, a workhorse. I think that this season they're not going to give him the same type of workload. I think he's great. I mean, is he a perfect running back? Absolutely not. But he's damn good. and he's, had amazing numbers for a guy who missed 6 games, still broke a lot of records as a rookie for the 49ers. And here's the stat that I love, Rockstar. His whole NFL career, right? So he's played a majority, 11 games, regular season, and 1, 2, 3 playoff games. Didn't fumble the ball once. Whole NFL career hasn't fumbled the ball once. And is that a fluke? No. His whole college career, he didn't fumble the ball once. So if your bell cow and your RB1 has that kind of ball security, that's my man. That's somebody that you want to keep on the books. So I'm a big fan of Mitchell, and I'm a big fan of Sermon as well. So hopefully we don't have to work Mitchell as much, because Sermon could come on and they could be that 1-2 punch that the 49ers use so well. Let's see. Wilson, Super Bowl champs, Rams. Yeah, man, you're right. We can't really say nothing about that. The San Francisco 49ers should sign Derek Deese Jr., tight end from San Jose State. SG Sports Talk, I don't know too much about Derek Deese Jr. I do think that the 49ers do need another tight end, though. I'll definitely look into him, and see if that's a guy. But I think a name to watch out for as far as tight ends, Austin Hooper, I think just got cut by the Browns. That's somebody who's been linked to the 49ers a lot. That would be a good person to bring in. Aside George Kittle, another pass-catching guy that can also block very well and play the tight end position at a high level. Another guy, Bob Tonyan, he is coming off of an injury, but he's really close to George Kittle, so that might be a guy that works well in the tight end room as well. But I do believe that he is somebody. A tight end is a position to look forward to. Michael A. Montez, man, you love thoughts. I don't know what that means. I do be thinking a lot, though, so you're probably right. You mad Raiders got Chandler Jones? I know that's your guy, man. Chandler Jones is dead to me. He broke my heart, man. That guy was supposed to be a 49er, but hey, Raiders are doing work this offseason. They paid him way more than the 49ers were ever going to pay him, so, at least he's not in the NFC. At least he's not somebody that we're going to have to deal with. So take him to the AFC and have him, him and Max Crosby are going to be fun to watch for sure. SG Sports Talk. Hey, man, hit me up. My Twitter is So Real Sunil. DM me over there. We'll definitely make it happen. I'd love to be on your channel as well, man. Cool. Let me see if there's anything else in here. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Yeah, well, guys, I appreciate you coming on last minute to join in. Thank you for the questions and the comments in the comment section. You guys really make this channel and this just these streams go really, really well. We were talking about Ray Ray McCloud. Obviously a stud that I think we picked up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, like the video, check out some other of that content as well. James Coombs, when are we going to get some draft prospects? That's coming very, very soon, James. We want to get through free agency first, and then we're going to go through some more of the draft prospects. Rockstar, what are your thoughts on Honey Badger? My guy Jesse Naylor loves that, bringing Honey Badger in. Look, if he's somebody that could be brought in, obviously we're not going to say no. I think him and Ward are going to be an amazing tandem. I just don't know what his price tag is going to be. Like I said, I think the 49ers have made it pretty clear that they're not going to go out here and spend big money on anybody. I think probably, the only free agent that gets that gets a lot of money is Charvarius Ward, and they already did that contract. So I expect, look, I really thought Tart was going to walk this offseason, and, Rohan Chakravarti, called me on it, and he said, look, I don't think that the market for Tart is going to be as high as people think. So I think maybe Tart comes back, and then maybe, I think the 49ers are going to be able to go best player available in the draft, truly best player available. And I think that's going to end up getting them a pretty decent safety for either in the second round or the third round. And, maybe a defensive, edge rusher and stuff like that. So I think they'll probably go maybe bring Tart back and go younger at safety in the draft. But if Honey Badger is willing to come to the Niners on a team friendly deal, I'm not gonna say no. But I don't think we could pay him, the type of money that he might be able to get in free agency as a safety as well. Let's see. Cool. Well, I think we got them all, guys. Like I said, thank you so much for joining the channel. Absolutely. SG, man, that's the only look I know how to rock, baby. I don't grow hair no more. It's all baldy up to this point. But thank you guys so much for joining in. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Like I always say, stay safe, stay healthy. Make sure you're drinking that H2O and staying hydrated. We will talk again very, very soon. Hopefully some Jimmy G news breaks tomorrow. Hopefully some Deshaun Watson news breaks tomorrow. Make sure you tune in here. We'll meet up tomorrow night and talk about it again, guys. Have a beautiful night. We'll talk again very, very soon.